Welcome to the Bridge Podcast, a podcast featuring heart-centered leaders, artists, healers, speakers, and creatives who are leading a new paradigm through their own personal embodiment. Join us to explore the evolution of humanity that we see happening on our planet and how the intersection of art and humanity may be the key to having a new experience on Earth, as we individually and collectively choose to align with a greater peace, unity, harmony, and unconditional love in our everyday lives. Together, we will explore inspiring, insightful, and healing conversations that tap us into the artist within, empower us to be the conscious creators of our reality, and amplify the world we want to see by coming home to our own divinity. Let's dive in. Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to the Bridge Podcast. This is going to be the introduction episode, the first time that I'm sitting down with you to talk a little bit about my journey, where the bridge came from, what my life was like before my spiritual awakening, what it was like throughout my spiritual awakening, and where I have come to now, and what my passion is and my vision is for this podcast, where the inspiration really birthed from. I'm so excited to sit down with you. Thank you for being here. If you came across this podcast, then know that you are tapping into the magic of your infinite divine self, that there potentially could be life-changing answers, reflections, clarity, support, tools, practices, and inspiration for you, not only in this episode, but in all the beautiful interviews to come. And I am so excited to go on this ride with you, to be on this journey together. Let's dive into all of the magic, and this is where it starts. I hope you enjoy it. Hello. Welcome to the Bridge Podcast. If you have found yourself here, I am so grateful. I am so excited that we have this opportunity to connect. This is going to be the introductory episode to the Bridge Podcast that has been birthing through me for several years now. And divinely, I am recording this on the Cancer full moon in January. The birth of the Aquarian era is upon us. Things are happening, times are changing, and for all of the astrology lovers out there, I am a Cancer rising, and so my soul very much resonates with the watery flow of Cancer, and it is very synchronistic with the bridge and how it came to be. So I will get into more of that later, but I am so excited to be here, sitting here with you right now. Grab yourself some tea or coffee or whatever it is that you love to drink. Grab yourself a blanket, grab yourself a notepad if you want to, or wherever you are, if it's out for a walk, if it's driving. I'm just so grateful that you're here choosing to listen to some of my story and are tuning into one of my creations. And I pray that this can activate your heart, your spirit, inspire you, align with you wherever you are in life right now, that this can uplift you and bring you closer to and into what you are desiring for yourself, what you are dreaming for yourself, and that you believe more that anything is possible, and that you believe in your value and your power in making a difference in this world, in the positive impact that you bring just by existing, and through all of your creations that effortlessly get to flow from your being. Let's activate that together. Let's go on a journey together. And I hope that my story and my journey thus far can inspire you and support you in whatever way your heart, your spirit, you most need it today. So let's get started. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's go on a little journey where I tell you a little bit about myself, where I started, where I'm from, how the bridge came to be, and why now is the time that I am sharing this, and what you can expect from this space and this podcast. I grew up in the Vancouver area of British Columbia, Canada, and I'm so grateful to be Canadian, to live in this beautiful place. I have been a dancer from the age of 3. Dance became my full-time outside of school. I played soccer for a couple of years. I dabbled in almost every sport, even hockey for one day. But I did not like all of the gear. I felt claustrophobic, so that didn't last or go anywhere. But I loved being active. I loved sports. I loved movement. And so it always made me feel good to try new things. And before I really get into the dance aspect of my journey, because it's been a really big part of who I've become, how I learned about myself, how I explored this life, and what shaped me as a person. I'll try and bring in a few little codes. It's a little bit esoteric terminology, but it fits perfectly for this podcast as we are here to bridge the esoteric and the material in a way that feels authentic and true and aligned for us. Because whether you love the science side of things or you love the spiritual side of things, they're both the same. They're just looking at it from a different lens. They are deeply connected. They are inherently the same thing, two sides of the same coin. And so being able to understand ourselves as a spirit and a human and find our authentic essence in a way that brings us fulfillment, that allows us to live our full potential, bring love, bring peace, bring joy, just through our existence and our personal experience of those energies is obviously massively of service and of benefit to the whole world, to everybody around you. And we know that, right? Given we are lit up and inspired by and feel good around people who are in that essence themselves. So as a 5 life path, I know that I love variety. I know that I love expression, expansion, trying new things, changing things up and having new experiences. And something about being a dancer, being a performer, being an artist for the developmental years of my life was such a blessing to be able to learn about myself, know myself, and explore myself through the arts. Now, I spent 5 to 6 hours a day, nearly every day after school, in the dance studio, competitions on weekends, extra rehearsals. Being a dancer was my whole identity. I didn't love school. I love learning. I loved aspects of it. I loved the social part of it. I loved being connected to people and getting to see people. I loved expressing myself with fashion. I loved art. I loved math, surprisingly, but checks out now that I love astrology and numerology, and I've come into touch with those more ethereal, universal sides of me. I loved astronomy. I was absolutely immersed in astronomy. I was fascinated by the planets, by the cosmos, by the universe, the stars, and that makes me so happy to think back to because even if you think you're off track in life ever, you are actually always in perfect divine time and flow with your soul because you are your soul. And no matter what you're experiencing, you are still there at the core. You are still there within all of it. No matter how many layers have maybe come between you and the full expression of your truth that resides inside of you in the deepest part of you. You were always there. And my experience on this awakening journey that I'm going to get into is that as you come into more of who you are, more of who you've always been and who you were meant to be, I think back to these moments, or these moments pop up in my mind from my life over the years. And it's like these energetic checkpoints that remind you that that spirit was always there, that your alignment with yourself was always there, and you were getting these clues towards the things that inspired you, towards the things that felt good. Those clues were always there. And the difference between living in an idea of who we should be and who we actually are inherently in essence, and what brings us alive, what helps us come alive in that, is what this podcast is going to be about, and how we're going to bring that into reality together for you, for me, and for the collective, for the reality that we want to bring. So not only did I have these moments in high school with astronomy, with the stars, with different people that I felt connected to in different ways, whether that be a teacher or friends, different experiences that made me feel really good versus ones that made me feel really bad. And we've all had those, right? We all have those experiences. We all have that mixed bag of our journey, and we're all here for that evolutionary experience as an individual, as a soul, to learn about ourselves and to grow and to create and experience and express ourselves in a way that feels really authentic and good for us. And that may come really easy to some, and that may come really difficult to others, but we're all on that same path as equals. And so let's get into my journey a little bit more, what that has looked like for me. So the high school years of my life were probably the most intense and demanding as far as being a dancer, being an artist. I spent all of my time outside of school and even outside of dance focusing on music, focusing on singing, playing piano, writing. I was always writing, whether it be songs or poetry or just writing what was coming through me, my mind, my heart, about my experiences. I loved expressing myself and being an artist. 24/7. I basically resisted anything and everything that did not allow me the freedom to do that because I knew that I felt the most myself when I was in expression. And over the years, as a performer who was essentially trained to bring other people's stories, other people's ideas, other people's performances to life, pieces of art to life, which is a beautiful thing, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love that aspect of the arts and how we can come together and co-create. There was something inside of me that was really having a hard time, that was really struggling with how to bring my authentic self forward within those circumstances. And I think the biggest reason for that is because I didn't yet know myself. I didn't yet put myself into environments where I was learning how to understand myself, how to feel safe expressing myself, how to bring into expression things that maybe I did not have a space to or understand how to express yet. So I felt this dance between loving being on stage, loving being a dancer, loving being a performer, always lit up by the arts, always lit up by musical theater, listening to music 24/7, dreaming about getting to do all of those things once I graduated. And when I graduated from grade 12 and my dance studio, after a few of the most demanding years in all of the ways, I felt this deep grief and sadness knowing that our final show was going to be the final show that I would have this experience. I'd been doing it for years, and suddenly it was the last year-end show where I was in 15 numbers or whatever it was, and I was gonna have to let go of this huge chapter and enter into the next era of my life. And there was a part of me that was so excited to let it go because I wanted to be free, is how I would describe it. I wanted to be free. I wanted to explore for myself. I didn't want to be restricted, or what felt restricting at the time, to a routine of I go to school, I go to dance, I'm always busy, I'm always having something to do. I had this resistance within myself to go straight out of high school and dance into anything else. So how did that show up? I resisted any sort of invitation for university. I resisted wanting to go to school. I resisted anything that was structured whatsoever because I just wanted to explore and be free. Now, this is really interesting because where I am now in life, I think back, this is one of those things that I think is really important to talk about. And it becomes so relevant when we think about how we think we have to live within this linear sense of time and do things at a certain age, but really we're always just in the now, and any moment is a time to go for something when your heart says yes. And a big part of what's right for you is also following your design and learning about yourself energetically, learning about yourself as a soul and what it is that you want to experience in this life and the way that you want to do it, not following an idea. I know that my journey was perfect as it was because that's how it unfolded. And it's so normal as we evolve to think, what if I had done things differently? Now I'm craving this stability. Now I'm craving this structure where I can show up to things that light me up, that make me feel so excited in a way that feels really structured for me. I'm craving that. I'm missing that experience because since then, that foundational experience I grew up with, I have not had that. And it's been over 10 years. When I graduated, I resisted anyone trying to tell me that I needed to go to university, that I needed a plan B. I knew in my heart, I knew in my spirit that that wasn't a thing. I knew that you needed to go all in on the things you're passionate about, the things that you love, and trust yourself and live the life that you want to live and that it's coded inside of you. I just inherently felt this way. I knew this. I feel like as an artist, we all have that call in some way towards something that we want to create, who we want to be, these dreams and these visions. And it's so important that we follow that and that we understand why we actually feel these things. They are there for a reason. You feel this way for a reason. So let's fast forward to June 2015. I'm 18, I'm graduating from school, from dance, and it's time to take the next steps. My only vision was to move to LA, become a performer, go into acting, pursue singing, dance along the way. I wanted to be fully immersed in the arts. I'd always dreamt of moving to LA, living in LA, the artistic capital of creation. It felt like this far out dream. It felt like this draw towards an energy that made me feel so inspired and made my heart so excited. It's the place that I wanted to live out my dreams. So my family and close friends had a Hollywood themed party to send me off to LA as I was going to drive down the coast with my mom and best friend. And I was planning to launch myself into this dream reality and just see what happens when I went to LA. I wasn't planning to move there at the time, but I was certainly open to the possibility that this was a little vacation for me to explore the idea and see how I felt and actually step foot in LA. One of the most beautiful things about this time is that I remember everybody being so supportive, everybody believing in me, everybody being excited to see me live out my dreams. And it felt so deeply personal and internal, this dream world and the arts, these creative aspirations. Yet it felt so good to receive that from people and to be celebrated and encouraged. And we even did this fun activity where people would write down one word about me or one thing they loved about me or one word that they think described me and put it in a little jar. And one of the things that I remember the most was the word determined. And we'll get into this on other podcast episodes about how important it is to have things that remind you of who you are, that make you feel good, that make you feel supported, all of that. But just for now, one of the things that I love the most about this is because taking one word and feeling how that activates me, how that feels like a core part of my identity and how that's evolved over time gives me so much information into who I'm meant to be and how I can channel that energy in ways that serve me to create the life and reality of my dreams. Determination at the time looked like me being so devoted and determined to living those dreams and going straight into them. It has evolved over the years in what it has looked like to be determined, but when I think back to this chapter of my life, this is when I feel the most connected to that spirit inside of me that knows that anything is possible and that we are here to live our dreams. Not only are they possible, but they are supposed to be. And things can look a little bit different, likely even better than you ever dreamed. But the only way that that's going to happen is if you say yes and are open and you take action towards those dreams. So we go to LA, we stop at all these beautiful places along the coast, as this is my first time going into California. And then one thing I remember clearly is as I drove into LA, I felt the most overwhelming sense of love, home, inspiration, peace in my body. It felt like moving into an energy that I'd always wanted to be in. It felt like moving into a world that I'd always felt like I was a part of, but had never experienced fully. And I just remember that sense of home. That is the one word that I felt driving in there. And we only got to spend 2 days there, but it left such a strong mark on me, which I'm going to circle back to later. This was the peak before everything started to change and absolutely fall apart and turn to essentially chaos. This was essentially the door that swung open, leading me into my spiritual journey. After that trip, a couple of things happened. I had a very traumatic breakup. My parents told us that they were separating and we'd be moving. I had just let go of the life that I knew with dance and school and who I'd been for 18 years, and I started to get sick. My health started to deteriorate, and more of these mystery symptoms and really strange experiences of just not feeling well, feeling exhausted, having symptoms that were affecting me as a dancer, especially the last year, and things just weren't right. Now I was hit with an incredibly traumatic series of emotional events that took me into a very intense, dark place where everything that I had known to be my stability, my sense of home, my sense of self, even my confidence was starting to shatter. Obviously, I now know that what was beginning to shatter was all of the false constructs, all of the illusions, all of the trauma, all of the control, unworthiness, all of the things that were either in my soul from other lifetimes or had happened in this lifetime or what was currently happening that was making an imprint were all ready to come to the surface. Were all ready for me to deeply look at and begin the journey of becoming who I am now 10 years later. So to fast forward through this part a little bit, because this could be multiple episodes on its own and those will come. A few months later, my dad and I moved just down the street into a basement suite of our real estate agent, and my mom and brother moved a little bit closer to his high school, which I graduated from, but he still had a couple of years. So the split had happened. Things were different. At that time, that was the most supportive dynamic for everybody. given the circumstances and what had changed. Now, as the year progressed into fall and winter, I started to get more and more sick. I spent the next 9 months to a year in and out of doctors' offices, hospitals, getting all the tests done, really trying to figure out what it was that I was experiencing and why I was suffering and feeling sick all the time. Now, at the time, the only thing that the medical system found was kidney stones. Every test that I had was coming back perfect. They were saying I was healthy when it was clear that my health was deteriorating and I did not look healthy or feel healthy. I was losing tons of weight. I was starting to have allergic reactions to everything. I was breaking out in severe cystic acne. I was waking up with a swollen face, swollen lips. I was always tired. I was feeling numbness and tingling. I was dizzy. I was passing out randomly. I always had a stomach ache or some kind of pain. I was severely bloated all the time. I stopped getting my period for a couple of months. That said, I was coming off of birth control. I hadn't been on it that long, but that was messing with my hormones. I had extremely painful periods. I was having trouble breathing at times. I was having heart-related symptoms and so many more things. The list is very long. Even just talking about this is giving me a moment of gratitude for how far I've come and what that chapter was really like. And I'm so grateful for that. So I'm just going to take a moment. I can barely remember how awful it was because I have cleared so much of that experience and healed so much of that experience. Now, like I said, the medical system at the time did not really point me in any direction of answers or clarity, except for the kidney stones, which at the time I wasn't guided to do anything about that. They said, oh, they'll probably just pass on their own. But then there was this one experience where I was so afraid that I was having a heart attack, that I couldn't breathe. My heart was just doing weird things, and it was the middle of the night, and I asked my dad to take me to the hospital. And we went to hospital in an ambulance. I remember crying and being so upset. Just like another moment I remember was going to get tested for asthma with my mom because I was having trouble breathing. And they told me I was perfectly healthy, that there was nothing wrong with my lungs. And I remember leaving the hospital with my mom crying, saying, why can't anybody figure out what's wrong with me? And if you have ever been in a position like this or felt anything like that, I am so sorry. And keep listening because it does get better and there are answers. And I will have episodes more focused on the healing journey and what it was that I found. But for now, this will be a bit of a summary to the whole journey. So when I was in the hospital that day, I had such severe acne, cystic acne all over my face. I was so thin. I was swollen. I was clearly not okay. And I was hooked up to all of these machines. And I was told, once again, you're completely healthy. Your heart is fine. There's nothing wrong with you. And essentially, they sent me away. Now, this isn't to come at the medical system at all because it has a divine purpose and it is so beneficial in so many ways. And when it comes to chronic illness, mystery illness, symptoms like mine, and so many others, they don't necessarily know what to do or how to direct us towards answers. And so many of us have to go and find alternative options and holistic options to actually get to the bottom of what is going on. So where did that leave me and what did I do next? My parents and I were always looking for different ideas, different holistic options as to how to support me. I went to a naturopath. I was trying Chinese medicine. I was trying all these crazy potions and different things to help me to heal from different perspectives of medicine, which I have come to love and adore so much now in my life. The universality of healing and how many things are out there that we can try and find things that work for us. After trying many different things, I actually had an experience with a specialist that was supposed to be a big deal. And they told me that I may have this very rare condition, 1 in a million. And if I do, I have to take medication for the rest of my life, or I could drop dead if I don't. And I had to get a test done that was like $1,500 to confirm this. So Obviously, at the time, this was incredibly stressful because I was very traumatized. I was in a lot of fear. I didn't know what to do and what was going on. I didn't feel well. I was clearly sick and did not have money to be supporting myself. I wasn't working. And I was told this by someone who was looked up to in the system as a specialist, as someone who would be able to help me. I felt in my gut that I did not have that, that that was not the answer, but we did the test anyways to confirm that I didn't because of how traumatic that was. I was also told I needed an EpiPen for soy. I was continuing to have more fear reflected to me when I was going into the medical system to try and find answers, and this was not working for me and it did not feel right to me. So I leaned towards the more holistic pathways, which was the naturopath, and I had all my hormones tested. I did all sorts of tests and things to get a different perspective on what it was that was going on in my body, and I worked with someone named Maya Kuzma in Vancouver. I'm not sure if she's still practicing, but it was at Vancouver Integrated Health. I absolutely loved working with her, and she was so helpful and so supportive. It's very expensive to work with a naturopath, but I was so grateful to have somebody who understood from a different perspective and could actually help me move forward. And she also referred me to a spiritual mentor. Also, fun fact, she is the one who connected me with who I now work with as my producer for music. So that is a fun full circle moment that happened years later. We were thinking about how we knew each other and how that came to be, and the synchronicities of him coming back into my life were aligned with so many other things from that time. So many parts of myself that I had been praying to connect to and integrate and step into now in my life. So that's a fun fact to share. But she had introduced me to this woman who was a spiritual mentor. And this was the first time that I had had any sort of spiritual mentorship or been close to that world in my life. I was always drawn to art and creativity, and that to me is so universal and so divine. And that's so much more talked about these days, the interconnectedness of the two. And that's a big part of where the idea for this podcast has come from for me. But essentially, what this started, what this was the beginning of for me, was my spiritual awakening. We watched the movie The Matrix. She led these workshops. She worked with me personally. She actually took me under her wing and really supported me during this time of my life, which I'm so grateful for. And it was such a blessing. And it was both a moment of, holy shit, this is what I've always felt inside of me, this inspiration, this curiosity. And the only person I had really connected to in that spiritual world thus far was Wayne Dyer. And I absolutely loved Wayne Dyer. Both of my parents loved Wayne Dyer. Both of my parents were into Tony Robbins and self-development and spirituality in their own ways. They had books, but we never really talked about it. It wasn't something that we were forced into. My grandparents were more religious and the Christianity realm of things. And I always resonated with the love and the connection to something greater, but there were things about religion and going to church that didn't resonate for me, and I didn't necessarily know why. But as I opened up to the spiritual journey, there were a few things that she told me that when I look back are pivotal moments and was the universe's way of saying, hey, it's time. And it was this integration of the soul, this awakening to the soul that was trying to happen. You probably have heard that we are souls having a human experience, right? There's afterlife, there's beyond, there's the divine, whatever your beliefs are, whatever you connect to, whatever you've come to experience thus far. You're welcome here, first and foremost. This space is for unconditional love, and that includes everyone. This is universal, and this is to explore our humanity, explore our spiritual journeys, explore the arts, explore all of it, and what is true for us, and what it is that we want to live in alignment with, what's authentic to you, and how you want to show up in your life. That is what we create a safe space for here, is to really explore the multidimensionality and the full spectrum of the human journey and what that can look like, and to encourage each other and inspire and support each other in the upliftment of living a life aligned with your soul, which is something that only you can do. Sometimes we just need somebody to give us permission, somebody to say something the right way, someone to bring that clarity that connects these pieces together and helps us to move forward and feel more whole, which we are inherently. Now, a few of the things that she said to me was that she gave me a list of things I needed to do every day. Some of those things were writing affirmations affirmations, a love list where you write positive things in the present tense, and you're doing this every single day for positive momentum. And really, I was being shown how to consciously create my life, how to be a master of my own frequency, of my own energy. This was when all of that started. She said I needed to connect to spirit every day. I needed to put salt at the door. There was all these things she told me to do. And my first initial response to that was feeling overwhelmed and was feeling like, why am I going to do any of this? I felt like being given all of these rules and all of these guidelines, but I didn't have this connection in my heart yet to why. And while this is a blessing, it was also something that was imprinted into me and or amplified what was already there on some level, that I couldn't trust myself, that I couldn't do things the way that I felt called to do them, that I couldn't find my own inspiration and connection to something that made me want to do it. And for me, the process of surrendering to something greater and to move from trust and to not have this small self identity trying to control everything, trying to do things its own way. Over the years, I have really had to make space to integrate my own confidence, my own sense of choice and sense of self into that source self, into who I really am, and allowing myself to find this perfect bridge point where those two things meet and I feel the most authentic. Because if you've been on any sort of spiritual journey in your life, which I think all of us have to some degree, whatever we refer to that as or however we see that or describe it, it can be easy to swing all the way into spirit, and it can be easy to swing all the way into the human because they're such extremes. And I'm really passionate about finding a healthy way to balance those two things to bring us into a homeostasis, a symbiotic relationship with these parts of us, because it's all us, right? That spirit, that soul is inside of you, and your human experience is essentially a collection of programs, a collection of things that have made you who you are. And if you don't want to be who you feel like you are or have become, it's relatively simple to go, okay, what are the programs we need to unplug that have made you this person? And then allowing space for the ones you do want to put in, allowing space for the beliefs and the ways that you want to live your life to come through. So not only did she give me a kickstart into my spiritual journey and my spiritual practice and connecting into energy and frequency and vibration, starting to do trauma work, starting to understand that I was more than just a human body and a human program that I was living, it started to open me up to the quantum world, to the universal essence of this universe that was where infinite potential existed, where our dreams come from, where our hearts go. The human spirit is connected to this space of love. And I have always felt this universal guidance, this universal power that is bigger than us, this divine, this unconditional love to be my belief, to be what feels the most true for me, the most universal and the most unifying, where all things come from this creation, all things are connected to this creation and this energy field, and so are we. And so this was really supportive for me at the time to have somebody come into my life and essentially tell me that all of these things that I felt in my heart were real. And that was amazing, but it also catapulted me into a huge dark night of the soul shadow journey. Another thing that will come in other episodes, I will dive into so many things deeper. But for now, what I'll say is I learned not only was I focusing on the healing on the physical level, and this is also when I found medical medium and I started reading about the Epstein-Barr virus, celery juice, all of the root causes of illness, the emotional aspect of things, the spiritual aspect of things. I was really opening myself up to the spirit world where I had karma that was involved in this illness. I had things to clear from other lifetimes. I had so many things to learn. And while that was so new to me, there was a part of me, a part of my spirit that knew. Because as you embark on an awakening journey of any kind to more of who you are, to more of this universe, to more love, to more healing, what's inside of you, you remember that your soul chose this experience. You remember that you're who you are for a reason. You remember that there's no coincidences and that everything is inherently interconnected and intertwined and that you are on your own individual divine journey. It brought all of this up, and I started learning about past lives and karma and energy and shadow and all of these things. And then she told me this one thing that was so anchored in my spirit and has continued to carry me through so much over the years. She said that you will be a part of leading the future of medicine, the future of healing. You are a part of leading something new in this world. And what that was root cause healing, which is a multidimensional spiritual experience of not only addressing things on the physical like a band-aid, but addressing the spiritual root cause of why something is imbalanced in the first place, because everything starts in frequency. So why energetically have we created and come into this experience? What is there for us? Because everything that we experience is moving us into more of our true essence and who we're meant to be and have the potential to be in this life. And we are alive at the greatest time on the planet where we get to be a part of this incredible awakening experience where consciousness is evolving rapidly and we are getting to experience ourselves as the divine being, knowing all parts of our human, all aspects of our experience, while all those aspects and all of those parts of us get to experience the divine being that we truly are, all at the same time. And this is an experience of multidimensionality, unity consciousness. It's been one of my favorite topics and most inspired trajectories as a human personally. And I know that it's what my soul gets the most excited about discovering. How this has unfolded for me on my journey through the healing, through the different seasons of many relationships, travel, retreats, different mentors, different programs, different experiences, different medicine journeys, so many things that I have experienced in the physical human realm and in the quantum shamanic realms, the ethereal realms, exploring interdimensionally, deeply grieving, going through dark night of the souls and portals of transformation that I never anticipated, but on some level my soul knew was coming. And my human was going for the ride. And so one of the reasons that I created this podcast, that this started to come through me, it actually birthed through during one of the most inspiring, but the hardest integration initiation seasons of my life. I was going through so much deep grief. I was emptying and letting go of so many things, of so many personalities and stories and traumas and identities from my life to come into the clear embodiment of my heart and of my spirit, the person that I wanted to be, actually being my lived reality. And manifestation and living our dreams is one of my favorite things to talk about. Energy, frequency, and vibration is my jam. Bridging the ethereal to the material and making sense of that as a multidimensional human on this evolutionary journey is my favorite thing to help people with, to talk about, to explore for myself, and my way of moving through reality. It's the only way that I have found peace, healing, love, freedom, clarity, fulfillment is through integrating the spiritual and ethereal aspects into my material life journey. And that is another thing that I was told during that initial season, that if I did not connect to spirit every day, I wouldn't heal. And I didn't really know what that meant at the time. And the journey of becoming more immersed in spirit, of being told that we're here to build our life around spirit, not spirit into our life, was something that deeply resonated with me, but I had to figure out what that meant for me. And I was resistant. I was a little bit stubborn. That Aquarius Capricorn in my chart, I was stubborn in the journey. I definitely didn't always take the easiest, quickest path, but that's part of the journey, because we learn so much when our human pulls us in different directions and we don't necessarily do the thing that we know would feel the best or be the easiest for us. But as we grow and learn through these experiences, we get to more clearly choose what it is that we prefer to experience and understand how these energetics work for us to do this. Now, one thing that I want to speak to before I close out this episode is how much the suffering I experienced made me question whether or not I was able to pursue the arts. I felt like it was wrong to be an artist. I felt like it was wrong to be a performer, that I could not pursue that because I had to be a healer, because I had this mission to something spiritually that was more important. And while that's true, it does not disclude being an artist. It was the old paradigm way of thinking about myself, of the arts, of linear time, and what that would look like, that needed to die. that old expression was nowhere near the bigness of the dreams that I felt in expression. Because when a small self trauma part of us is trying to fulfill a dream, heal a wound, or is trying to control what things will look like, we're limiting ourselves so much to the infinite potential that can come through us when we are connected to who we really are, when we are connected to the divine and can hold space for and use all these different parts of us in our art and to create story and to do it from a different place, a different consciousness, a different reason why. Now, when I think back to 2016, 2017, when I was in the thick of my healing from chronic illness and the beginning of the spiritual journey, I was watching Ellen every single day. I was watching things that I loved. I was staying in touch with my favorite singers. I was watching my favorite shows, Gossip Girl being one of them, The Fosters being another. I was deeply, deeply, deeply immersed in who I wanted to be and what I wanted to share with the world. I would watch Ellen and I would cry and I would just say out to the universe, I just want to be able to share this and help people. I want people to know that you can heal from this. I want to share my story. I want to be on Ellen. I wanted to talk about what I was learning and bring that to the world. And that was a massive inspiration that kept me going through such a dark period. I had this huge heart to serve, these big dreams. And the two things to this day that anyone who knows me will say, anyone close to me will say, is that I have always loved to help people and I've always loved to perform. Those are my two favorite things. And the reason why I suffered so much during this time was because I felt like I had to choose between one or the other. For some reason, for me, I did not see how those two worlds intertwined because the entertainment world I grew up in did not have this spiritual world, this conscious world that I was now opening up to. And this spiritual conscious world did not connect itself to the arts for me yet. And so for years, up to 10 years, this is just now in the recent 1, 2 years starting to integrate and weave into a symbiotic relationship for me where I have always known that they're not separate, but somewhere inside of me, I have felt like they are so separate. And I know that I'm not the only person who feels this way, as I now have more friends and beautiful souls showing up in my life, sharing the same experience and wanting to bring a new world of arts and entertainment to the planet that includes our multidimensionality, that comes from a place of unity where our choice and our reason for creating, which this is where they perfectly merge and bridge together. I've always wanted to be an artist, to inspire people, to uplift people, to bring love, to bring unity, to bring connection, to show people what's possible for them. I think about little kids being inspired by what I'm doing, adults being inspired by what I'm doing, and when we love seeing somebody that we look up to and we love meeting our idol or our favorite singer, that it can just change our whole life. It changes our whole world when we're seen by them, when we're acknowledged by them, when we have this moment to interact with them. And I felt this beautiful responsibility to showing up and shining in your light, in your gifts, in your spirit, to show people what's possible for themselves. And that if they connect with you, they're connecting with that same essence, that same call within themselves that you are emitting because you've also chosen to connect to it. This dismantling of the ego, this dismantling of this separate world, this hierarchy, all of these things when it comes to the arts or any profession that is, held to a pedestal. And maybe not everybody feels this way, but I feel like this is a shared experience in a lot of the world, if not all of the world, that we have been programmed into or just unconsciously feel like we are less than, or we are not worthy, or there are certain people who get to experience certain things, or our journey should look a certain way. And all of these things that disconnect us from our true nature, from ourselves, from each other, from the magic that's possible, from the miracles that are available, from the infinite potential that wants to be unfolding for you. When we put love and peace and truth and connection to that place of unity where all of our hearts are interconnected first. I was really struggling to be on sets and be in work environments where I didn't know how to integrate that spirituality, where I hadn't come into the embodiment of that yet. I always felt like something was off for me because I was still seeking what I wanted to experience and what I wanted to create. When it came to creating anything, I was seeking a certain type of experience that felt a certain way where I felt safe to be all of myself. And while I had personal work to do to learn how to do that, I also believed that the spaces we created and how we showed up for one another would change if we were coming from a new place. How amazing would it be to have sets and environments and experiences where not only does the art and the results of it bring absolute healing and love and magic and upliftment and inspiration, but the actual process every step of the way, which I'm not saying doesn't exist, I absolutely know and believe that it exists in some spaces, and there's always room for evolution and for improvement and for growth for us to experience that even more, to amplify what's good and to integrate what doesn't feel good from the place of knowing that we're here to learn. And if we can create experiences and sets and environments where we move from our divinity and from our hearts first, from a place of unity and co creation, to serve, to show the world what's possible, to have the product of our art, the actual result of our art, be full of the experience that we went into the process with, that we infused in every moment of the dance along the way, how we grew as people, how connected we were, how strong the relationships were, how vulnerable that we could be, how much of our multidimensionality we were making space for from the foundation of the truth that we are free, that we get to have this experience multidimensionally, that we get to have this human experience, and we are here evolving as a soul first. You are so much more than you're human. You are so much more. In fact, you're not even the traumas and the fears and all of these limitations. That's not who you are. That's not actually who you are. So, to be able to create art and move from this place of consciousness, heart consciousness, 4D, 5D consciousness, integrating that into our material experiences, that's what gets me inspired. I would write for hours and hours and hours how inspired I was by soul embodiment and how we can use art and music and dance and all of these things to come more into ourselves, to help ourselves heal. And that's a huge thing in this world now. Music therapy, how much music and the arts is universal, connects us, how much it can heal us and change our lives to have those experiences. And I have found my experience personally to be deeply inspiring in the way that as I have done more of this inner work, as I have explored and learned about who I am, the inner work, the inner child's healing, the spiritual journey that I've been on personally has massively served my ability to show up as an artist. It has changed who I'm able to be. It's changed my voice. It's changed how I sing. It's changed how I move. It's changed everything. And I remember years ago when I was at a healing circle and somebody was a facilitator of sound healing of some kind for performers, for singers, to help them shift energy and heal things that would allow them to access more of their artistry, more of themselves, more of their voice, more of your channel, more of your vessel, more of your heart. And I have found that to be true for myself, that the notes I couldn't hit, the songs I couldn't sing, the characters that I felt drawn to that I couldn't yet connect to and express, it was all connected to something about me, a story that I held, a belief, an unhealed trauma, a past life experience. It was all connected to something energetically. And as I was able to heal these energetic pieces, move the energy, move the emotions, actually shift who I was, I am now able to express and access those things as a blissful extension of who I am, something I get to enjoy because I love it. To add this in, one of the things that I was told at one of these workshops with this mentor years ago was your purpose is to master your energy and emotion. It's to master you. Your bliss is how you choose to express that, how you're inspired to move through this world to create. You are not your job, your clothes, your body, your home, your family, your story. You're not that. Yes, it's part of your experience. Yes, as you integrate and as you heal and as you come more into the wholeness of who you really are, all of those things are going to be something that are a part of you. and it comes from a different place. What I mean by you're not those things is that you're not only those things. You're not limited to those things. It doesn't define who you are. You are so much more than that. And when we shift our awareness and our perspective and our devotion to how do I become the most me, the most true, free, expressed, healed, whole version of me, how do I come into that version of myself, that embodied expression of Chelsea? Not the idea, but the essence of being so connected to the space, to the now, being so open, being so clear as a vessel to give yourself over to the experience of story. So many artists and actors, and oh, this will make me cry. I get so emotional when I talk about this because people lose themselves in roles, people struggle, people suffer in the arts because I believe we don't have enough of this. We don't have this talked about. It's not on the forefront. We need more support when it comes to integrating the arts, which is such an inherent part of our humanity and our want to express, but that's also our divinity. Those two things, the humanity and the divinity, are intertwined. They are inherently the same. And we get to create a world, we get to create spaces, we get to create environments, we get to create conversations where we can actually bridge those two experiences, those two worlds, and have them merge into one, where our wholeness, our divinity, our truth, our spirit, our hearts gets to lead the way, and the art gets to flow from there. No separation, no distortion, no hierarchy, oneness, who we are in our hearts. And I know that sounds so poetic and beautiful and simple and easy. And listen, it can be. I believe in a world where that is the result because that is what I personally experience often. That said, the journey is very multidimensional. The journey is very complex at times. We have a lot of programming. We have all different soul journeys. We have all different trajectories. There's details to you. It's important for you to focus on your journey because who you are and you honoring your path and your heart and your healing and your becoming who you've always been meant to be is the pathway forward for humanity to experience more love, more harmony, and more peace. It is in you, as within, so without, as above, so below. We need you showing up in your radiance, in your light. We need you showing up and sharing your journey and expressing yourself. We need more of that. We need more people who've come alive. We need more people who know themselves from this place in their heart. And there is a pathway, there is a way, there is support, there's always an answer, there's always a way. The divine is interwoven into every aspect of your life and of reality. You are so loved unconditionally, it would blow every single lie out of your body instantly if you let it in. But it's a journey. We don't do it instantly. It's a journey, and there's a reason that it's a journey because we're here to learn that. We're here to explore, to discover, to be humbled by life, and to make this planet better, to have the opportunity through our own experience to make this planet better, to bring through our art our unique perspectives, and to also have an amazing, nourishing, nurturing, beautiful, soul fulfilling, connected journey personally along the way. To get to focus on your path. But when you light up, when you're living in your spirit, in your essence, the music of who you are, the sound of your soul and your heart, you actually activate that for everybody else. So you living that life is changing the planet, is raising everybody up, no matter what it looks like. Yes, sometimes it brings up a ton of shadows. Yes, crazy things can happen, destruction can happen, a lot of things are happening, but the more we follow our hearts, the more we're moving towards that world together where we all get to come together as one in healing the distortion and knowing ourselves and one another from this place of peace, of wholeness, and of love. It's not only possible, it's real, and it's available to us now. And so this podcast is going to not only explore esoteric, ethereal, high frequency ideas and concepts, the multidimensional spiritual worlds and journeys of so many amazing leaders and artists and healers and creatives, and at times everyday humans in totally different industries or professions, because my heart will tell me who to invite on. Spirit will tell me who to bring on and share. And I'm so excited to not only live my dream of having these worlds bridge together, having these worlds merge to create one that we want to see through our own embodiment individually, but to be a continuous student, to listen, to learn, to explore, to connect with all of these different people, these new reflections, these people that I have loved and looked up to, that have helped me move forward on my journey, that have helped me understand myself as a human, that have helped me find healing on my spiritual journey, that have helped me become more of the artist that I want to be. We all have something to contribute to one another if we only have the eyes to see it and the hearts to lean in and tune into it. And so I am so honored and so grateful to be bringing this creation that has been birthing through me for years, with so much deep preparation behind the scenes, for this to be the time. And not only is this the most sacred, powerful time moving into the Aquarian age, it is also a deeply devastating and revolutionary time where LA, the place that is so deeply connected to my journey, my soul, and this podcast coming into the world, our LA has been on fire for a week. We are experiencing such destruction and change in this heart of creativity, in this city of angels, in this place where not only is there so much light, but there has been so much darkness. And as within, so without. We need to talk about this. We need to know how we can do better. I see left, right, and center people saying, how do I help? How can I be of service? How can I support humanity? This podcast is going to help us light the way. How we can do better, how we can be the solution, how we can become the world that we want to see, and how you have a responsibility to contribute to that on your own journey. You are so powerful, you are so valuable, and you are a part of the solution and a part of the change, no matter what your journey is or where you are right now. We get to become the world we want to see by embodying the frequency of that reality. And your journey of coming from where you are into that embodiment is the spiritual journey, is the human journey. It is the divinity of humanity and the humanity of divinity. It is the arts. It's the artist in us. It's the creative in us. It's the human spirit that wants to believe, that inherently believes that anything is possible and that there are no limitations, that we are powerful beyond measure, that we get to create what we want to see. And we just need to learn how to do that. How do we become that? And that is the journey we are going on with the bridge. And not only do I pray and intend for this podcast to be of massive service to you in your personal lives, your artistic lives, your creative lives, your human and soul trajectory, but for this to be the start of something that can change the world in all of the ways that we pray for, that we wish for, to truly see a new world birth in front of our eyes, to get to experience that new world becoming real, because heaven on earth is a real thing. Heaven on earth is a vibrational experience of reality, and it's one that you can choose into in every moment. It is available right now. And the more of us that choose to live in that vibrational frequency of heaven on earth, the faster we will see this planet change, the more we can do together. I have so many visions and ideas and plans that have been put on my heart for the bridge. I will have different ways for you to support and show up and contribute to what I am doing, what God is doing through me, what I would like to see change in this world, and how I can be of service uniquely to that. And if you feel inspired to donate, to support, to reach out, to inquire, to co-create, to collaborate in any way, please reach out to me. Please let me know. I will have donation links available. I will have new offers, new experiences, new creations coming to help unite us, to help bridge us together into love as the way to amplify our hearts and spirits and to come together in ways that truly make lasting change. And I would be deeply grateful and honored to receive any of your support, any of your inspired ideas, any of the ways that you would like to serve the bridge and what we are here to do in this world. Please reach out to me. You can look at the description of this episode. You can look on my social media. You can look on Official Bridge Podcast on Instagram. And together we can make great change happen and truly create the experience of the world that we want to see more and more every day, because it is here now and it is a choice that we get to make. And your journey is unique, and having the space, the support, the reflections to know that unconditional love is here to meet you no matter where you are, to help bridge that experience, that person, that aspect, that emotion to a place of love, peace, and unity. That is the natural way. That is natural order. And when we align with it, miracles are possible. Miracles happen because miracles are normal and they are meant to be our reality. So thank you for listening to this. I would be so honored and excited if you joined me on this journey. If you've been called here to this episode, to this podcast, to me, there is a reason. Trust in that calling that you feel to be of service, to contribute to something greater, to move from your heart. To all of you that believe that anything is possible, that love and peace and unity are the way, who've maybe felt out of place, who felt wrong, who felt weird, who felt like you don't know where you fit in, you're here to be a part of something different. You're here to be a part of bridging a new world into form, into reality, into our real sensory experience. And we need your multidimensionality. Becoming embodied in your multidimensionality is the art. You are the art. You are the artist. Your life is sacred. You are sacred, and you deserve to feel this every single day, no matter what you're experiencing. Unconditional love is the truth, and it is real. And if you want to experience more of this, all you have to do is open to it, ask, and start choosing it along the way. I am so excited to bring you these episodes, these interviews. I also have a YouTube channel. You can tune in every week. Once this episode is out, we will have a new episode every week. Most likely, I am learning along the way, but I am so excited to be bridging my dreams into reality in this unique way, ways beyond what I had ever thought was possible, but that my heart always knew was the way. And I pray this for you. I wish this for you. And I know that it is possible. And not only is it possible, it is happening if you surrender and you allow the magic of life to guide you and to light the way. You will find yourself in a more and more beautiful experience of reality, where you get to not only know yourself deeper, but be yourself more fully and have relationships and opportunities and experiences in your life reflect the truth of your heart and your spirit. And I believe we all want that, and we certainly all deserve it. If you have any requests for topics, episodes, content, please share them with me. You can email them over to the email in this description. If you want to hear more from me, I have a YouTube channel and we'll be sharing content over there. And if you want to join my communities or work with me one-on-one, the information will also be in the description below. Thank you so much for listening to this introduction to the Bridge podcast and how it came to be. I am so grateful and excited and deeply humbled by the journey that it has taken me on thus far. And I'm just so excited for it to be out in the world and to get to share this with you and to see where it leads us. We're here to change the world. I know that if you're drawn to this podcast, you have that innate spirit in you that's ready to make change, that knows that you are here for a really big reason. And it is time to step into this. It is time to rise, to come together, and to make things happen. It is time to align ourselves, our connections, our relationships in this world to what we want to see and what we want it to be. It's time to let our hearts lead. Please keep going, no matter where you are right now. There's so much more available for you. If you are in a hard time, if you are in a hard season, if you are in a challenging dark night of the soul initiation, if there are things that you have questions about, that you want answers, that you want clarity, if you don't know what's next, if you feel alone, you're not. There are so many people, including me, who care, who love you, who've been there, who can relate. And there's so much out there that you have not even experienced, not even considered, not even thought of, that wants to come into your reality if you just let it in. So let's continue to be courageous together, to receive more love, to embody more love, to become more love, to give more love in overflow, because we are connected to our inherent divinity, because we move from who we are, and we are willing and excited to see the miracles that unfold, to see what's possible from there. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for listening. I am so grateful for each and every one of you, truly. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to some of my story, to some of my journey, to hear about my heart and my passions and what I want to see in this world. And this is just scratching the surface. There is so much more to come. And we are in revolutionary times. Anything is possible and miracles are real. It's time for us to come together and let's create a new world. If you are on this earth, you are a big part of what is happening and you are here for a reason. Believe that, know that, trust that, and keep going. I see you, I love you, and welcome to the bridge. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of The Bridge. You are so valued and appreciated here, and I hope it helped bring light, love, clarity, and healing to your journey of remembering who you are. If you'd like to share feedback, have questions, want to collaborate, or request for a specific guest or episode topic, you can email us at the email below. To connect with us on socials or to work with me one-on-one, you can head to the social medias in the description below. If you'd like to donate to support our mission to share love, peace, and unity on this planet, you will find a link for that as well. You can always reach out via email to ask us how you can support what we are currently doing in the world. If there is someone you feel inspired to directly support, please let us know and we will share their story in one of our episodes. Remember, together we are better and truly can do so much. Now it's that time. Go live this new wisdom you received here in your life. Share it, integrate it, pass it on. Your ripples are powerful and needed, and you have a unique way of sharing and being that only you can be. As always, take what resonates for you and leave the rest. You are sovereign. You are the magic wand. You are the bridge to experiencing the world that you want. You are the conductor of your destiny. See it, choose it, speak it, feel it, believe it, know it, and go be it. The universe is always on your side, and you are infinite. Remember, it always starts with you. One love, and we'll see you in the next one.